Yep.
Today, everyone, we're right here at the 24-Hour Network Radio, located in Reno at the Automobile Museum. John, tell us a little bit about the museum.
Okay, we were established here in Reno in 1989, and we got our start from the Bill Harrah collection. From Harrah's Casinos, Bill had about 1,400 vehicles in his collection, and when he passed away, the city sent a delegation to the Holiday Corp, which bought Harrah's Casinos. And after those negotiations and discussions, they ended up giving us 175 cars, some of which we chose, some of which they said, take this. And from there, we've gone to where we are today. We have about 230 cars in inventory, about 200 on display at any one time in the museum. And there's 4 galleries. They're arranged chronologically. The oldest vehicles are in gallery number 1. Starts about 1900. They get progressively newer. By the time you go through gallery 3, you'll have been in the 50s, 60s, and a touch of the 70s. Not too many interesting things happened with automobiles in the 70s, and Bill Harrah passed away in the 70s, so that was the end of his collection. Gallery 4 is special exhibits. It's race cars, ATVs, things you don't normally associate with a year, but there are some exceptions to everything, okay? So you're standing here, you're going to go down this long hallway. You pass the theater, the changing exhibits, and the maintenance shop on your way down to the blacksmith shop. The blacksmith shop is actually the entrance to gallery number 1. So once you get in a gallery, there's a carpeted walkway that takes you through. The cars are all parked on gravel, and we ask the folks, please stay on the carpet. You're welcome to take pictures, but again, please stay on the carpet. We have a no-touch policy through the museum for the automobiles. There's lots of stuff hanging on the walls. It's fair game. We have horns to honk, cranks to turn, wheels to spin, TVs to watch. And in addition to the automobiles, there's a lot of collectible clothing, period clothing. And that's about all I can tell you offhand. I won't go into the individual cars, but Harrah's liked unique cars and one-of-a-kind cars, so we have a lot of those.
A lot of one-of-one.
Yeah.
That's great, that's great. Well, John, it was a pleasure speaking with you on the show.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Enjoy.
Well, right now we're actually inside the museum, and I'm standing in front of a 1904 Renault. Joe, tell us a little bit about this beautiful car we're looking at.
This 1904 Renault was built strictly for racing, and it's very modern for its time in that it has a steering wheel, it has drum brakes, a drive shaft and differential rather than chain drive to a solid axle. It's water cooled, 14 horsepower, about 40 miles an hour, and just won lots of races because it was so advanced for its time. The black box you see there, that's your lubrication for the engine. You push those plungers to keep the oil going. That's why you needed your riding mechanic.
So it was actually 2 individuals had to sit in this car to actually operate it.
Right. And if you notice in the picture, the mechanic's seat is lower. So when he leans forward to operate things, the driver doesn't hit him with his elbow and knock him out of the car.
Exactly, exactly. It's truly a beautiful car.
Yeah. It's ready to go out and race right now.
So now, Dora, we're standing here in front of the 1912 Rambler, and I see a photo here that says that it was actually the car that was in the movie The Titanic. Tell us a little bit about it.
It brought the luggage to the dock, so it had its 15 to 30 seconds there in the movie, and the studio rented this one and our Stearns limo to use down there. The ironic thing about this Rambler, that a Rambler owner told me later on, this car was built 3 months after the Titanic sank. So it really shouldn't have been in the movie, but it gives a lot of character to the movie.
It does, it does. It's truly a beautiful car. So tell us a little bit about how long does these cars actually stay in the exhibit before they actually may go out to another museum, or how does that actually work?
Well, generally, there's a request to borrow a car or to use a car in a parade or something like that. Goes to the director of the board of directors and the director of the museum, and they vote yea or nay. and it's taken in the shop and prepared, make sure it runs well, and it's taken out, either trailered to where it's going, or if it's local in Reno, we drive it. And for example, we loan cars to the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles every once in a while for special exhibits, and it goes down in a special trailer, highly insured, comes back the same way. But we try not to keep a car out of the museum more than 6 weeks at the most, because we owe it to our customers to see all our cars right here.
Exactly.
And then we're invited to some of the top-of-the-line car shows, like the Concours in Pebble Beach, and at that time we take one down and just for exhibition, not for judging, and that gives wonderful publicity to the museum.
Exactly. It sure is a beautiful museum here. And we're going to talk about a couple more cars. Don't go nowhere, folks. I know you got something to do. Well, now, Drew, we're still at the museum, and of course we're standing in front of the 1903 Oldsmobile, and of course we have a 1910 right here as well. Tell us a little bit about both of them.
Well, the 1903 Oldsmobile, the curved dash Olds, was one of the first cars built by the Oldsmobile company, and they were in 1904 they sold 4,000 of those cars at one time, which was a industry record almost, because not a lot of people could afford an automobile, and the stockholders wanted bigger and better cars, and so it evolved into this special order, limited touring 1910. This was not your standard Oldsmobile, but this was what you bought to impress your neighbors. It's 60 horsepower, 60 miles an hour. I don't know what it weighs. All I know is it's a beautiful, big, heavy car.
And it is beautiful as well as big. That it is. Now, the 1903, as we see, is much smaller in size. Tell us why they actually utilized the features that they used.
Well, it was 4 horsepower as opposed to 60. It had the radiator under the floorboard, so it was a foot warmer as well. And it was basically just your Fairweather weekend tour Central Park type automobile. And this one, of course, was your big family car, driven by a chauffeur, and probably owned by a lawyer or banker or somebody like that, because for $4,600, it wasn't your typical working man's automobile in 1910.
Exactly. Right now, that would probably be considered just about a quarter or close to a $500,000 car right now, today.
Yeah, just multiply these up from 1910 to 2014 dollars, and just taking into account the inflation, they went way up.
Exactly. Well, it's truly a beautiful car. And everyone, I want you all to most definitely come out to the museum right here located in Reno, the Automobile Museum. Don't go nowhere. We have a lot more coming up on the 24-Hour Network Radio.